as the northern lights dance across the stillness of the night. Snow-covered mountains gradually come into view, carrying echoes of the gold rush era that once shook this land. Meanwhile, the journey of the caribou herds continues, as it has for millions of years. Yukon, perched north of the Arctic Circle, where fire, ice, and lifeblood exist side by side. Before you dive deep into the wilds of North America, let us know where you're from in the comments below. Yukon wilderness, the migration journey, and the timeless struggle for survival. Weather in Yukon is growing increasingly unpredictable. In 2024, the Arctic Report Card from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration recorded average summer temperatures rising by 0.83 degrees Celsius above the 1991 to 2020 baseline. It was one of the 3 warmest summers ever recorded in the Arctic. The fall of 2023, just before that, was no exception, showing an increase of 1.86 degrees Celsius, ranking second warmest since 1900. As a result, the life cycle of the caribou, a species so closely tied to the seasons it's like nature's own timekeeper, has begun to unravel. Female caribou are giving birth to calves too early, while the ground remains frozen and the lichen has not yet had a chance to grow back. Lacking essential nutrients in their first days of life, the new generation of caribou are frailer and more likely to stumble than ever before. Cases of undernourishment are on the rise. Caribou must travel farther, faster, more often, while their strength wanes. Every time they lower their heads to dig through the snow, their backs are left exposed to the silent stalkers nearby. And for the gray wolf, that is all it takes. As the caribou weaken, gray wolf packs close the distance. The chases across the snow grow fiercer and more intense. One slip, one fall, or even a moment's hesitation, just half a second, is enough to turn a caribou into a meal. In this remote, frozen wilderness, where the weather no longer plays by the old rules, the late arrival of winter has rewritten the playbook, and caribou are the first to pay the price. Of course, other predators are not standing still either. What other animals in Yukon, besides the gray wolf, do you think hunt caribou? Drop your answer in the comments below. Caribou tracks are scattered across the Yukon Territory. This region, located in the far northwest of Canada, spans more than 482,000 square kilometers, making it about 1.3 times larger than the state of California. With an ultra-low population density, fewer than 0.1 people per square kilometer, Yukon stands as one of the last truly wild and untouched areas left on the North American continent. The name Yukon comes from the Gwich'in language, meaning white water, a reference to the Yukon River, the longest river in the territory. 1.3 to 1.7 billion years ago, magma from deep within the Earth rose to the surface in the Heart River area, forming layers of volcanic and intrusive rock, the very foundation of what would become this territory. Over millions of years, tectonic plates collided and pushed the land upward, raising ancient seafloors into towering mountains. The St. Elias, Ogilvy, and Mackenzie ranges were born from that monumental event. Most iconic among them is Mount Logan, standing 5,959 meters tall, a symbol of the tectonic forces that shaped the entire northwestern landscape of the continent. Glaciers like Kaskawulsh and Logan Glacier were formed during the Pleistocene Ice Age. They carved through rock and sculpted deep U-shaped valleys, laying the groundwork for a complex network of waterways that flow into the Yukon River. In more recent times, Yukon was once part of the Northwest Territories. But in 1898, the Klondike Gold Rush drew waves of prospectors, prompting the Canadian government to designate it as a separate administrative territory. From that gold-fueled frenzy, a new territory emerged, carrying with it both the brilliance and the chaos of a brief but explosive era of development. More than just a land of history, Yukon proudly boasts several areas recognized or listed by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. Kluane National Park and Reserve, home to Mount Logan, the tallest peak in Canada, and vast glaciers, was listed in 1979. In 2023, Trondheim Klondike became Yukon's first cultural World Heritage Site, honoring the connection between the Trondheim people and the 19th century gold rush. 3 other areas, Ivavik, Vuntut, and Herschel Island, have also been placed on the tentative list for their biological significance and unique Arctic ecosystems. Yukon has a cold subarctic climate with long, dry, and intensely harsh winters. Winter temperatures often drop below 30 degrees Celsius. Summers are short but cool, with temperatures ranging from 10 to 20 degrees Celsius depending on the region. Yukon is home to a pristine and diverse ecosystem where life thrives in harmony across boreal forests, taiga, and alpine tundra. According to the official Yukon government portal, an estimated 42,000 caribou migrate seasonally through Yukon as of 2024, belonging to 2 main subspecies, barren ground and woodland. In addition, Yukon is home to between 70 and 80 species of mammals, along with 348 species of birds. Each species, and every habitat, from forest to glacier, plays an irreplaceable role within this vast and interconnected ecosystem. Fall in Yukon begins from August to October, when the crisp air and golden foliage signal nature's graceful shift. In the Ogilvy Mountains and Porcupine River Valley, where quiet taiga forests cradle vast tundra plains, the landscape takes on a dreamlike quality, as if woven from the soft glow of the season's fading light. It is here that caribou herds begin their migration, preparing to cross the wild expanse in search of shelter from the freezing winter ahead. Each year, the migration spans up to 2,400 kilometers. They travel from breeding grounds in the far northern reaches of Yukon, crossing the rugged terrain of the Ogilvy Mountains and descending into the Porcupine Valley. Porcupine caribou need areas with thin snow cover and vegetation rich enough to fuel them for the bitter winter ahead. Porcupine caribou are slender, with long, strong legs that help them move efficiently over snow and uneven ground. Their dense, double-layered coats change color with the seasons, gray-brown in summer and lighter in winter, to provide both insulation and camouflage. Both males and females grow antlers. The males are large and intricately branched, while the females are smaller but retained longer to guard food sources through the winter. As a long-standing resident of Yukon, the porcupine caribou has evolved highly adaptable foraging strategies for survival. In areas with lower primary productivity, typically found in fall and warmer summer months, they feed mainly on graminoid species and other vascular plants. However, in more productive areas where competition from other hoofed animals and predation pressures increase, they switch to consuming lichen. This is a high-energy, easily digestible food source that remains accessible in the frozen upper soil layer. Their journey is deeply tied to the traditional knowledge of indigenous communities such as the Gwich'in and Vuntut Gwich'in, peoples who have lived and hunted alongside caribou for thousands of years. Within that tradition is the idea of the caribou leader, individuals who guide the herd through the migration. Interviews with indigenous hunters in Yukon reveal that females often lead during fall and spring, navigating rough terrain, locating food, and avoiding blizzards. Males only take the lead when snow conditions are deeper and greater physical strength is required to forge a path. As they cross the Ogilvy Mountains and Porcupine Valley in fall, caribou are not just migrants searching for food, they are actively shaping the entire ecosystem. Recent ecological studies by the Alaska Department of Fish and Game show that caribou droppings contain significant nutrients, especially nitrogen. When spread across the tundra, these nutrients help restore local primary productivity in high-elevation grasslands. This creates a ripple effect, allowing the tundra to recover more quickly after periods of drought or delayed thaw. Fall is also when caribou begin to exhibit more socially complex behaviors. Calves born in early summer are now old enough to follow the herd, making fall a natural training season. In the low mountain areas of Ogilvy, collective antler shedding among males has been observed. Old antlers drop in preparation for the winter cycle ahead. This is also the pre-rut phase, when rising testosterone levels make males more aggressive, combative, and alert than usual. They begin to gather in open meadows or foothills, landscapes with fewer trees for better visibility and control over the females. Males battle by locking antlers, curved, sharp racks clashing in intense confrontations. Though these fights rarely result in serious injury, their purpose is to assert dominance and secure mating access to groups of females. Victorious males often keep a harem of several to dozens of females, mating repeatedly over a span of several days. Females, on the other hand, juggle two key survival roles. They must maintain a steady migration pace while selecting high-quality mates to ensure strong genetic legacy. They tend to be highly selective, only mating with males that demonstrate superior endurance and